Greetings and welcome to week 3. This week we're going to begin our study of theoretical lenses with the dominant, really, theoretical lens in international relations and the oldest, and that is realism. The piece that we read about Thucydides earlier in the year, in the first week, is one of the essential realist doctrines for the lens of realism. And you will see in the reading that we do this week, we're going to do Machiavelli. We're going to read chapter 15 from his work, The Prince. And we're going to also take a look at Thomas Hobbes. You will see in those texts the remnants or the influence is a better word, of Thucydides. And so as we go through political realism this week, we'll be looking at a number of people. Thucydides is one that we've already dealt with. We will speak of Machiavelli and Thomas Hobbes. And then a guy from the 20th century who is critical to political realism is a guy named Hans Morgenthau. And we're going to look at his 6 essential assumptions of realism, and that's one of the things that you will be working with and focusing on throughout the week. Our situation briefs this week are North Korea and Iran. And as you talk about realism, you talk about this balance of power that is struck between different states in the international system, both Iran and North Korea present fascinating case studies because they both have developed or are developing nuclear programs. Now, North Korea has tested a nuclear device, a nuclear bomb, twice. And so they have the ability to weaponize nuclear power. And that is fearful for people, for countries in the neighborhood, specifically South Korea and Japan. The United States is allied to both of those countries. So the United States has a stake in making sure that North Korea uses the weapons that it has developed responsibly, or at the very least in a way that meets the interests of the United States and the allies of the United States. Iran is different because Iran is in the process of refining nuclear material. Now, the United States and others in the international community claim that the Iranians are enriching uranium to make nuclear weapons. But the Iranians say that they are not. They say that they're enriching uranium for peaceful purposes and that they have a right to do so. So there is a tug of war between the power of the United States, the influence of the United States, and the power and the defiance of Iran. And that relationship has implications throughout the Middle East for Arab countries like Saudi Arabia and Kuwait, certainly for Iraq, and maybe most crucially for Israel. So it's a fascinating situation in both North Korea and Iran. As you're learning about and analyzing those two countries, I want you to do it specifically through the realist lens. So take the content and take the theory that you are learning from our text and try to apply it to North Korea and to Iran to see whether you feel that through the realist lens it makes sense for the North Koreans to weaponize nuclear weapons, for Iran to try to develop them, if there is a power scenario in which the United States or Israel or Europe or the United Nations can persuade or coerce Iran to give up its program, and for the North Koreans to roll back their program and give up their weapons. It's a fascinating situation. And so keep in mind that your writing this week, your analysis, isn't just through the lens of you. It's through the lens of you and your beliefs, but also through the lens of realism. So, as the week progresses, try to hone your skill of writing and analyzing as a realist. The final thing is that events in Egypt continue to not spiral out of control, but certainly become more dire as we move forward. The people in the streets of Cairo and in the streets of other cities in Egypt continue to rebel against the Mubarak government, and the Mubarak government seems to be trying to hold on to power. But more and more pressure is coming from the outside, from Europe, from the United States, from other countries, in the region. So it will be interesting to see a couple things. One, can Mubarak hold on to power? If so, for how long? Two, will he use force against his own people to maintain power? Three, what will the reaction of the international community be to any actions by President Mubarak? It is a fascinating time, and maybe as we look at Egypt, remember that there are demonstrations breaking out. Tunisia's already fallen, but in Yemen, in Jordan, in other countries within the Middle East, there is tension that is palpable, that you can feel just from reading the first-person accounts of the people who are on the ground there. Will this lead to a situation where regimes fall all across the Arab world? If so, what effect will that have on the security and the stability of the region, on the oil coming out of the region, on places like Iraq and Afghanistan? It is a truly fascinating time to be paying attention to world politics, and especially the politics of the Middle East. Finally, your geography assessment will continue with the 13 countries of South America. So, political realism, Iran, North Korea. Our daily teacher's notes will be focused mainly on the Middle East and specifically on Egypt as that situation develops, South America and the 13 countries of the political map. Have a good week, take care of yourselves, and I will see you online. Once again, my cameraman left. Gotta turn off the camera.